It was a typical late summer evening in Riley County, Kansas. The kind where the cicadas hummed a lazy tune and the air still held the day's warmth, even as dusk painted the sky in hues of lavender and orange. Maeve O'Connell, proprietor and sole detective of the Prairie Shadows Detective Agency, was on her cabin's front porch, nursing a cup of lukewarm coffee. Her gaze drifted over the familiar silhouette of the Flint Hills, a landscape she knew like the back of her hand, when the shrill ring of her cell phone shattered the tranquility. She sighed, a small, weary sound, and fished the phone from her pocket. The caller ID read, "Unknown." Usually she'd let those go to voicemail, but something, a gut feeling she'd learned to trust over years of chasing down runaway spouses and missing prize-winning cattle, made her answer. "Prairie Shadows Detective Agency. Maeve O'Connell speaking," she said, her voice a low alto, the kind that could be both comforting and firm. A shaky, hushed voice on the other end, barely above a whisper, spoke. "Ms. O'Connell, my name is Elias Palmer. I need your help. It's about the Grays." Maeve paused, her coffee cup halfway to her lips. The Grays? Her mind, accustomed to the mundane mysteries of rural Kansas, flickered through possibilities. A new brand of feral cats? A local motorcycle gang with an unusual nickname? But the tremor in Elias's voice, the sheer desperation, hinted at something far stranger. "The Grays?" Maeve prompted, her brow furrowing. "Can you explain, Mr. Palmer?" They visit us," Elias stammered, his voice cracking. "My family. They take us, and we don't know who they are or what they want. We need answers, Ms. O'Connell. We need you to find out." A long silence stretched between them, punctuated only by the distant chorus of crickets. Alien abduction. In Riley County, Kansas. Maeve took a slow sip of her now cold coffee, a wry smile playing on her lips. This was, without a doubt, one of the strangest requests she'd ever received, and something told her this case would be anything but typical. The next morning, the Kansas sun beat down with its usual relentless enthusiasm, but Maeve felt a different kind of heat, a prickle of anticipation for the bizarre case ahead. She found the Palmer residence tucked away down a long gravel driveway, a modest farmhouse that looked like any other in the county, save for the distinct, almost palpable aura of unease hanging about it. Elias Palmer, a man in his late 40s with a perpetually worried frown etched into his face, met her at the door. His wife, Sarah, hovered nervously in the background, her eyes darting around as if expecting something to materialize from thin air. Their 2 children, a quiet teenage girl named Lily and a younger boy, 8-year-old Thomas, clung to their parents, their faces pale and drawn. The family looked less like they'd seen something impossible and more like they'd been living in a constant state of low-grade terror. "Thank you for coming, Miss O'Connell," Elias said, ushering her into a living room that was meticulously neat but felt oddly sterile, as if the family was afraid to truly live in it. We don't know who else to turn to." Maeve settled into a worn armchair, pulling out her small notebook. "Let's start from the beginning, Mr. Palmer. When did these visits begin?" Elias exchanged a glance with Sarah, who gave a slight encouraging nod. "About 6 months ago," he began, his voice still a little shaky. "Just after the meteor shower. We all saw it, out over the pasture. Beautiful. Then the dreams started." "Dreams?" Maeve prompted, pen poised. "More like shared experiences," Sarah interjected, finding her voice. "We'd all wake up at the same time, usually around 3 a.m., and we'd remember being somewhere else. A bright room, and them." She shivered, hugging herself. The Grays, tall, thin, with those big, dark eyes. Little Thomas whimpered and buried his face in his mother's side. Lily, surprisingly, spoke next, her voice small but clear. "They just look at us. They don't talk, not like we talk, but you feel them. In your head." Maeve listened intently, making notes. She'd seen plenty of shared delusions in her career, but there was a raw, undeniable sincerity in the Palmers' accounts. Their fear was genuine, palpable. She asked about physical evidence, strange marks, missing time, unusual objects. They showed her faint circular marks on their necks and wrists, almost like faded bruises, but nothing definitive. No peculiar devices, no alien artifacts, just the chilling, consistent narrative of their nocturnal visitors. "And what do you hope I can do, Mr. Palmer?" Maeve asked, looking directly at Elias. "You want to know who they are and what they want." "That's a tall order, even for a seasoned detective." Elias wrung his hands. "We don't know. Just make it stop or help us understand. Are we crazy, Ms. O'Connell? Please, just tell us if we're crazy. Maeve closed her notebook, her gaze sweeping over the anxious faces of the Palmer family. Crazy? Perhaps, but she had a feeling this case was going to stretch the boundaries of her pragmatic world in ways she couldn't yet imagine. It was time for Maeve to decide on her next move. The Palmer's story, while deeply unsettling, was entirely subjective. She needed something tangible, something she could sink her teeth into. Her pragmatic detective's brain, honed by years of concrete evidence and logical deductions, rebelled against the ethereal nature of the Greys. "All right," Maeve said, leaning forward. "For now, let's put the Greys aside, just for a moment. We need to look for explanations within our own world first." She turned her attention to Elias. "Mr. Palmer, you mentioned the visit started after a meteor shower. Can you tell me more about that night? Where exactly did you observe it?" Elias nodded. "Just out in the back pasture. We have a clear view of the eastern sky there. It was spectacular, more meteors than I'd ever seen." "And did anything unusual happen then? Any strange lights, sounds, anything out of the ordinary before the dreams started?" Maeve pressed. Elias frowned in thought. "No, not really. Just the falling stars. Though, I did notice a very faint, shimmering light a few nights later near the old oak tree at the edge of the pasture. Thought it was just heat haze off the fields, but it was late, no sun." Maeve made a note. Shimmering light, old oak tree, pasture edge. "And your health, your family's health, since these experiences began? Any new medications, changes in diet, exposure to anything unusual?" Maeve asked, her gaze lingering on their pale faces. Sarah spoke up. "No, nothing really. Just tired. Always tired. And sometimes we get these headaches, right behind the eyes." "And the marks you showed me," Maeve continued, "have they appeared consistently with each visit?" "Pretty much," Elias confirmed. "Faded by morning, but always there right after we wake up." Maeve then shifted her focus to their immediate surroundings. "Are there any unusual geological features on your property, Mr. Palmer? Old wells, abandoned mines, anything that might produce, say, strange gases or electromagnetic fields?" She knew it was a long shot, but she had to cover all bases. Elias shook his head. "Just farmland, and the usual limestone bedrock, I suppose. Nothing I know of that'd cause this." "What about local folklore, strange stories, or even odd occurrences in the area around your property?" Maeve asked, recalling the countless rural legends she'd heard over the years. Elias and Sarah exchanged another look. "Well," Elias began slowly, "there's the old story about the wandering lights in the hills. My grandpa used to talk about them. Strange lights that would move through the bluffs at night, sometimes hovering. But that's just a campfire tale, isn't it?